My name is Joey from Animal Crossing. I got first introduced to the music industry when I was about 17 years old, when I first started going to Sankey's. It was an eye-opening time going in there for the first time. I think I first remember walking in there and just remember like being in the bar area and listening to Danny Deja or Everything. I don't really remember that track, but yeah, I just remember hearing that just like buzzing through the walls, and like I sort of just fell in love with it at that moment, like, and then I just from there bought myself a set of decks and just put all my time and effort into just learning the craft as much as I could. I always knew I sort of wanted to just DJ, making it as a career. I don't think it was until I sort of started the Animal Crossing thing with the boys. That's when I sort of realised that shit, we can make something out of this, you know. So with AC, it was basically just 5 friends. Me, Ryan, I'd never met before. I knew Ollie from back in the day through like going to a uni party or something, and then Dan FaZe and Luke Bowles, same again. Just didn't really know him that well. And me and Ryan met up in off week, because I go to off week every year, and then I actually bumped into Ollie at an Elro party, and he'd lost all of his friends and I'd lost all of my friends, and we were just like, oh, let's just hang around together. It was an after party after that. We were watching Point G, we bumped into Ryan, and then we just became like best friends on this holiday here. And then as soon as we come back, we started going to a few raves together, and then one day we were just like we've got a great friendship here, and like we all love the music, so why don't we just do something with it? And then we just like decided to sort of, me and Ollie got together one night and we just wanted to just create this brand that was just different to what anything else that was going on in Manchester at the minute. And yeah, we came up with Animal Crossing. It was actually so we was just looking for, we knew we wanted to do cartoon as like the artwork, and we were just like on Google Images, like doing like the clicking, you know, as you go into different things, and this little elephant came up, and we just clicked on the elephant, and it was obviously as a character from Animal Crossing, the game. And then we just seen the name Animal Crossing, and we both just looked at each other and we just said like, Animal Crossing, let's do it. And we just ran with it straight away. That was it, set in stone. It was just how any party starts, really. You're young and you've got loads of friends who like to party, and we just found a venue. It was actually the bagel shop in Manchester. It actually did it downstairs. I know most people did them upstairs, but that was before that was even made. We just literally had the restaurant downstairs, and we just decided to throw a little 150 cap party in there. We sold all the tickets pretty much within the first week because we had so many friends who wanted to come. It just took off from there. Basically, each party got stronger. More people started cottoning onto it, and then it just, yeah, like a snowball effect. I was going out a lot more in the deep house days, the 2012 deep house in Sankey's. So that was a lot more like your deep house sort of stuff. I think I was given the opportunity to play at a place called Lock 91 in Deansgate in Manchester, which it isn't a very it's not the best of the scene, but it was a gig at the time. And I remember you're just playing like the top 10 beatport like tracks, you know, when you first start off. I think I was only like 17 at the time. But then you soon learn to realise that that's not what DJing is. Going from that to then now, like when I was playing for Hammer in Sweden last week, playing my own tracks, playing my own EPs, and you go from that to that, and you sort of realise like, shit, I'm stood here playing to a crowd it's actually my own music, and then you sort of think, you know what, I've actually accomplished something a little bit, you know. Especially when you hear the crowd's first reaction to it, even when it's not out yet, and you think, is it, because you're a little bit worried at first, is it going to do well in the charts? Is it going to sell? Is the vinyl going to sell? And yeah, when you hear people's reactions, it sort of gives you that little bit of reassurance, you know. I feel like I like to make that many different types of music. Like, it's all house, I guess. It's all like, some of it can be a bit minimal, some of it can be a little bit more housey. But I take a lot of influence from the samples from the 80s music as well, and that's my passion. 80s music, I absolutely love that. I have like a big collection of that as well. So I do try to get that into my music as much as possible. But yeah, I think with me in the studio, it's more just about just getting in there and just having fun as much as I can. I'm never really too scared about putting like 4 tracks on an EP that don't even sound the same. They can all be 4 different types of tracks, but as long as I like them, and that's all that really matters to me. It's a hi-hat for me. I don't know what it is, an open hi-hat, I just really love that. Obviously percussion's what makes you dance. Just something about a nice open hi-hat for me. It just makes your hand flick and it just gets you dancing, you know. I'm not really into partying as much as I used to anymore. I just prefer to like sort of get in and out of there. But yeah, I still enjoy being in the crowd. Not every single time you go out do you ever like get like sucked in to like wanting to just be there all night. And I think that just comes with just being in the club so much. And I think it just can get a bit boring and you always just feel like you're working even when you're not. I think when you actually go as a punter sometimes and you feel like you forget that you even do the DJing yourself, it sort of brings you back to like when I was saying earlier when I first walked in Sankey's and you just sort of close your eyes and lose yourself in the music. It's very rare that happens these days, but when it does, it's a good feeling. Went from like in the box to buying lots of machines and synths and drum machines, and then sort of thought that was the answer to everything. Spent loads of money on all these synths and drum machines and stuff, and I think after a while you soon realise that like most of your creativity is just can be done in the box. So I just sort of like shrunk everything down. Like I still have the mixing desk and I can still like put my external synths into there and stuff, but as far as like drum machines go and stuff like that, I don't really use them anymore because I feel like I can just program everything in Ableton just as well. I still do like using external synths a little bit, but you can just give me my laptop and headphones and I enjoy that just as much as anything. But I do enjoy having a lot of dance around the room, you know, and getting things going and just like pressing buttons and stuff. But yeah, I think a lot of the time it can just be for show on the camera and stuff, and anybody can produce great music these days just with a MacBook and headphones. Like no matter what anyone tells you, like the majority of DJs these days like are doing that. For like up and coming producers to get scared and think, oh, I need all this equipment just to be like that guy, but really you don't. You can just do it in the box. So many great Ableton's probably it's like a music maker's dream, isn't it? Like it's got everything you need. And I know people who make amazing tracks who haven't even got sample packs. They don't even have external synths or plugins. They literally just use what's in the box of Ableton and they still manage to make great music, and it's just proof that anyone can do it. I always find myself reverting back to certain tracks that I just love, you know, like I am known for sometimes playing like a track quite a lot over and over again, but that's just because I just love it so much and I just feel like I want everyone to hear it, sort of thing. I do sort of improvise. It's not planned out to like, I'm going to play this and then this and then this. I'll just have like a big bunch of tracks, just like any DJ, and you just select on the fly, sort of read the crowd. I know it's a bit cliche, but like, yeah, you just see how people are reacting and just go from there. I remember I was playing Slash Sundays in Australia and Sydney, and I came on and I was playing the peak time set and it was in the main room. I didn't realise that the track that I was putting in was just like stuck on a loop. I think the USB had like ejected itself somehow and it was just stuck on a loop, and I was just like waiting for this track to end and I was stood there for probably about 10 minutes and I didn't even realise that the track was just looping. And then obviously I just had to like go shit and fix it quick, but like I don't think anyone really noticed, but I had to just keep like bringing the bass in and out and shit to try and make it like sound like it was like a track that was like proper cool, but it wasn't. It was just like a 5-second loop over and over again. Imagine, I don't know if you ever, I have a dream sometimes where like I get to the gig and put my USB in and it doesn't work. And like I have that all the time, that like sometimes that fucking scares the life out of me. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest obstacle I've ever had. Everything's run pretty smoothly apart from that. In the same breath, probably Sash again. Like that, even though that set started with a bit of a hiccup, it was probably one of my favourite. Glastonbury is again, like it's always the favourite, just to say you played there. There's so many, but probably the USA Mexico tour as well. That was always a good laugh, just to know you're on the other side of the world, just travelling around playing your music that you love, and that was a good feeling. I just thought I've been booked to go over there anyway from my music that they'd heard online, so they must like it. So I just sort of stayed true to myself and just played whatever I would have played back home again. But there's definitely smaller scenes over there. There's different parts of Mexico. I went to like 6 different places. They're very definitely smaller scenes, but there's cool people everywhere. Even though they don't have like thousands of people there ready to buy tickets for their parties, they're still making an effort and they're still doing something, which is really refreshing to see. Even though they might be only like 100 people there, 150 people, they're all there just for the same thing, just to dance and they have a passion for that music. So it's cool to see, you know, it's everywhere, it's all over the world. I think a lot of the time it's for themselves, like, because I don't know, I think they watch these videos online of these DJs playing all over the world, and like they see the big crowds and stuff, and they just think, imagine if I could bring that to my city or my town and inspire other people to start listening to that music as well. And I think that's what deep down what they're all trying to do, and a lot of the time they succeed. They change a lot of people's lives, and they get people into this music. You've just got to be persistent, and you're in this genre, and just over and over again just keep doing the bookings, and eventually people will start to love it for what it is. When I first started producing, you had to go on YouTube and like look for, you was watching like dubstep tutorials, and you had to just sort of convert that into from like making dubstep or EDM, and then convert that into like house music or minimal, what you were trying to make. Now you've got platforms like, you've got Josh Baker doing Syntho, which is absolutely great. Like, I think if that was around when I first started, like, you can make somebody a producer in the space of 4 months. There's so many great tutorials online, and a lot of free stuff as well. Jake Flory does a lot of stuff on his Patreon. Yeah, there's so many things on YouTube, and you can just learn so much. So yeah, just my one bit of advice would be just invest that little bit of money maybe into like an online course, and you'll learn so much more. And then obviously once you start to progress, maybe get some one-to-one lessons, but you will learn a lot more than watching dubstep tutorials. We just started the sub-label for Animal Crossing, which is Squid Ink Records, just like more in-house. I think we're going to give those releases more to the boys, like an opportunity for them to get music out, whereas the main Animal Crossing label will start, obviously keep on going with the bigger artists as well as our own. I've got a project just coming out on Squid Ink. It's just gone online now for pre-sale. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that does in the stores. AC, yeah, we've started to do parties back in Manchester again. But yeah, we're just going to do plenty of like Manchester shows again over the next few years now, and just as well as concentrate on the ones that we do abroad as well. I think it's tough. It's a very tough game, especially with if it's a place that hasn't got a license, which is 90% of the time. You have to find a venue, get in touch with the council, get like a 10 license on it, so you can sell alcohol there. Then you have to set up your own bar, all the fire safety regs, everything. There's a lot more to it than just starting a night, putting it in a club. You take tickets, they take the bar, done. Like, that can be that simple sometimes, but there's a lot more that goes into it, like as far as like literally putting fencing around the whole venue, and obviously you got to supply your own toilets a lot of the time, but it is very much worth it. It's a great feeling to just see it all unfold like in front of your eyes. I think sometimes you can go to the same club over and over again. It could be any night, you don't know, but I think when you go into an Animal Crossing show, you sort of know it's Animal Crossing. At the time, just before the pandemic struck, we was just about to do the party in the showroom. Do you remember, with the car showroom? With Fuse. We was actually doing a party in Fuse. And I think the party was literally like on the Saturday, and then lockdown happened on like the Wednesday or something. And then we was like literally just waiting around to see if we was going to get locked down or the party was going to get shut off, and it did. I think we decided to just call the party off because of what was going on, and we were just like, it'll only be a few weeks and we'll be back again and we'll be able to do it. And little did we know, 2 years later there was no show still, but we did manage to do that show in the end. It was great. It was a great little homecoming back. I had a lot of time I actually spent a lot of time just walking more than anything. I was in the Lake District most weekends. Like, I had a newfound love for hiking and wild camping, and then I was just coming home at night and just doing some producing. And I think producing with a mind that's just so refreshed, like after doing loads of hiking and stuff, like it was definitely a more relaxing life, put it that way. I think people was a lot less stressed, and people sort of like realised what real life is, rather than just going to work and coming home and watching Netflix and going to bed. Like people sort of found passions and became like changed careers, changed and stuff like that, which is, I think there's always a good positive that you can be brought from it. I think it's hard sometimes to basically like say like, right, I'm doing music full time, and then obviously when you have a side job as well. for example, I do barbering, and I went back to do barbering as I was doing music at the same time. Sometimes it's tough because you're literally in another country playing a lot of music to people, and then fly home, and then the next day you just like study the barbershop, just cutting hair, and you're like this is two different opposite ends of the world, it's two polar opposites, and sometimes it can be a little bit like mentally straining to be going from to and from all the time. But I think you've just got to just be as calm as possible with it all, and just be like, right, just let it run its course, and eventually I think if you just keep doing what you're doing, then the thing that you love the most, you'll end up doing that full time, you know. And social media is everything these days. It's not just about like you don't just have the music coming out online and it's like a sort of mysterious artist that you don't really know too well, but you just love the music, so you just become a big fan of them. I think you buy into the product of that person as well now. A lot of the time, a lot of DJs, like, you're putting a lot of your personal life online, sort of creating an image that you want people to follow and love. I admit I'm not the best at that. I can be quite on and off with it. I do like to post on Instagram, but not. I can go like a couple of months doing really well with it, and then I'll just go silent for a few months. The Instagram algorithm, they don't really like that. They want you posting every day, but it's hard work. It can be a lot mentally taxing as well. I think a lot of it probably just comes down to being down to earth. I always looked up to Perhammer quite a lot, and then we've ended up becoming quite good friends, talking quite a lot. Where we just chat often, yeah. And I think it's good because you sort of like the music sort of sets apart, and then you actually find a friendship in the industry. Sometimes it's good to just set the music aside and just be like, you know what, I just want to talk to a friend or whatever, you know, and just like, yeah. And it's a good feeling, definitely. The lack of sleep is a big one for me. It grinds on me quite a lot, especially after watching like the Matthew Walker podcasts online with the sleep deprivation and stuff, and how badly it can affect you. And you sort of think, like, sometimes you think, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, why am I not home in bed with a good sleeping pattern? But I guess everyone has a little bit of poison in their life, don't they? And you just have to just realise that it's just part of the scene. Some people are just sat up till daft o'clock in the morning watching TV, so I guess being out in a club's no different, apart from the fact that you're intoxicated. Yeah, I don't. Commercial success doesn't really. It's not something that I would say, oh yeah, I never want that or anything. Like, I guess if it comes to you, then it comes to you. But I don't think I want to be like one of them guys who's like, oh yeah, I would never play that gig because it's not this scene and this is too cool for that. I think I just always have your arms open to anything, as long as it's for good cause, then why not just do it? I guess I can probably be seen as a bit of a weakness as a DJ. Like, I sort of always just stick to what I want to play. I'll never be like, oh, these guys love this music with vocals in it and a little bit more house. Yeah, I'm just like, if I don't want to play that, then I'm not going to do it. And if they don't like it, then they shouldn't be at the gig, really. But I don't know. I think that's just my perception of it. Probably a little bit, I sound a little bit stuck up with it, but it's just not like you go to gigs back in the day and you're there to get your perception of that music changed and to fall in love with it. And they're never going to fall in love with it if you're not just showing it them anyway. So you have to just be like persistent, be like, no, they're listening to this music and they'll like it. If they do like it, they like it. If they don't, if not. But I guess that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to warm people to the music, so if they don't listen to it, they're never going to warm to it. Crazy AI stuff coming out at the minute. I think once it starts working its way into Ableton more, I think it's going to be a scary scene. There's going to be a lot of producers out there who don't really know what they're doing, but they're still making great music. But then it's there for anyone to use, so it's not like they've got any advantage. If somebody could implement an AI into your DAW, and then they check the levels and then put some sort of mixing on over the top, I think if somebody nails that will be a game changer, and a lot of people will be out of a job as well, big time. Just more like being in different countries a lot of the time can be quite scary, especially if it's like a crazy place where you get people telling you not to go there. Especially when I was in Mexico, I was telling all the people, oh yeah, I've got a gig here, and I'm going to Juarez, and they're like, don't go to Juarez. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, it's murder capital of the world, like, don't go there. And then you're thinking, fuck, this is the last date on my tour, like, am I going to get killed on the last date? And then you just message a few people you know have played there before and stuff, I think I'd messaged David Detronic, and I was just like, I've seen that you played at this club like a couple of weeks ago. How is it? Should I be scared? And he was like, bro, as long as you're with the promoters, like, it's super chilled, everything's fine. And I think once I actually got there as well, like, it was the place that felt most safe, rather than all the other dates, which was really like eye-opening. I think there's more people going out. There's a lot more going on now than there was. It was more of a close family thing back in the day. Like, for example, when I said Sankey's before, it was the same faces in there every single weekend. Like, everyone, you sort of felt like brothers and sisters sometimes, because you was there so much. There's been some sort of like reunion nights recently. Like, I think the Progress Centre had done like some deep house stuff, haven't they? And one of my friends went to there, and he was like saying, like, Joey, like, you don't understand. All the old Sankey's heads was there. They're all like grown up, 10 years older, and like they've all got kids, and like everyone's moved on, but like they was all there. They couldn't wait to go back. And I think that just shows how powerful this scene can be sometimes. Like, they was willing to just drop everything at that moment, put the kids in, like, getting babysat with the parents and stuff. They're like, I'm going back to Sankey's for that one night, you know, just to enjoy it. I didn't manage to go to it because I was just coming back from Barcelona, but I think the next one I'm going to make it for sure, definitely. Yeah, I'm probably not the best one for advice on this, because I do have quite long breaks in between making music and APs. But I think if you speak to more of the producers that are producing a lot more than me, it will literally just be consistency every single day. Even if you're just doing 10 minutes, open your laptop and do 10 minutes, because that 10 minutes will turn into an hour, it'll turn into 2 hours. When I really want to just get myself back into it, I'll be like, right, I'll just set myself right, I need to make an EP. I'll sort of just come up with some ideas, more of like, you might catch me sometimes down an alley with my phone on voice record, like going like, just trying to make like an idea that's coming into my head, and then I bring that home, listen to that little idea, and then I turn it into that on Ableton. And a lot of the time I find that they're some of the best tracks. Best advice: any ideas that you have cross your mind, write them down, record them digitally, and wait till you're in the studio and just try and bring them to life. It's always a really cool way of producing, I think. Or sometimes another tip would be, I always like just put a kick drum, a clap, and then just all synths, no basses, no hats, no nothing, and just try and do all your synth work first. And then after that, I feel like when you'd write your bass line around that afterwards. It's a different way of creating music. I know a lot of people just start with drums and bass, and I just find that always gives me like this little creative spark that I wouldn't have got if I would have used my other methods. So with collaborations, it's something that I do try and stay clear of more than but if I do, it has to be someone who I know I'm going to be like able to sit in the studio with and get along with more like than anything, because it's a long process to do an EP, like, and then you spend a lot of time with that person. Obviously, we're living in a time these days where you can just create a project, make half of it, send it to another DJ, he'll finish it off. But I think you get a lot better outcome when you're actually both in the studio together. As far as collaborations go, recently I've not really done many, but I like to work in the studio with Nave, who did the first EP on Animal Crossing Records. He's like one of the best producers I've ever watched in front of my own eyes. He's unbelievable, and I got a lot of inspiration from him. And yeah, it's nice just to sit back sometimes and just pick their brain, and they learn stuff from you, you learn stuff from them. And yeah, I think that's the beauty of collaboration more than anything. We actually went up to Devon Analog Studios. We went and paid for like 3 nights up there, and it was a great little time. We just had a few beers and just had just like a big spaceship in front of us, and yeah, we managed to get quite a few tunes down that night. It was cool. It's basically just in the middle of nowhere. Like, the guy who owns it, he just has his house next to it, and then it's just like right at the back of the garden, this huge studio. It has every single drum machine and synth you could ever think of. This guy who owns it, he's just like a super nerd with all his Simpson drum machines, and he loves it. And yeah, you get to go there and just pay some money to use equipment that you would never get to use. So doing that with a friend as well, like, you can come up with some pretty cool stuff.